Okay, good morning, everyone, or better, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yes, it's 1 o'clock, and in England we always start the afternoon at 1 o'clock. So, good afternoon, and welcome to today's masterclass webinar. I am currently alone, but I will likely be joined shortly by my colleague Anna, who's probably going to join us. She's having some technical problems, so you may see another face pop up on your window very shortly. But for the time being, it's only me. So hi. Let me introduce myself. I'm Kate. I am a teacher here in Florence. So I'm based in Florence at the moment. And I've been living in Florence quite a long time, for 3 years. And I am originally from the south of England, but I decided to change my work and come to Florence 3 years ago. I was a teacher in a high school originally. I taught teenagers, and I taught them English, but I taught them English literature and English language. So now I live in Florence, and I teach English, but I teach it as a language. Now, I see Anna has popped up. Hi, welcome. Good morning, Anna.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good. Yes.
Fantastic. Excellent. And Anna, tell us a bit about yourself. Where are you from? What do you do? And where are you currently?
Okay. I'm Anna. I'm from England. I'm from a town called Southend-on-Sea, which is in the southeast of England. I used to work in London as an office manager, and now I live in Florence. I work with you, Kate, as an English teacher.
She's lying. It's not true. I've never met this woman in my life. No. It's true. I have the enormous privilege of working with Anna. Guys, today in our masterclass, if you've never joined us for a masterclass before, and this is your first, then let's. I think maybe Anna, shall we tell these guys a little bit about what a masterclass is, what it's for, and what the general purpose is? So.
Sure.
A masterclass is designed to be a place where you can be challenged a little bit. So in my English school, we always try to make ourselves as clear and as understandable as possible. That means sometimes we speak more slowly. It means sometimes we try to avoid certain tenses. Like if you're a low-level student, we try not to use complicated, perfect tenses because the lower level students just don't understand yet. However, in a masterclass, we don't change how we speak. So we don't try to make it harder for you, but today Anna and I are going to speak in the same way that we would speak to each other. So we're not going to eliminate difficult words, we're not going to reduce our phrasal verbs or our idioms, and we're going to just speak however we want to, depending on the natural way that our English comes out at the time. So today could be a little more difficult for some of you, but that's okay. If you hear a word you don't understand, then ask us in the chat. That's absolutely fine. You can type and tell us or ask us like, oh, I heard this word, I don't quite understand, what does it mean? And that's fine, and we can clarify. We will do that ourselves as we go. We will talk about the vocabulary that we are using. But today is a chance for you to listen to native speakers speaking to each other. So it's unfiltered, we could say. It's a slightly unfiltered kind of language today, okay? So I hope you're ready for a bit of a challenge, guys. I hope you're ready for some real contractions and some complicated sentences and idioms and phrasal verbs and all that good stuff. Wonderful. Well, we already have one person chatting to us here. So hi, Gianni. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Gianni from Padua. Ooh, this is interesting. So Gianni, you've decided to type the anglicized version of the name of your city. Anna, do you know the name of this city in Italian?
I would assume it's Padua.
It is Padua. Yeah, it is. No, you're absolutely right. No, it's a very strange thing in English that, of course, sometimes we change the name of the place and sometimes we don't. So we change Padua to Padua, But Verona is Verona. Oh, we pronounce it differently, but we don't spell it differently. And Vicenza is Vicenza, and Bergamo is Bergamo, Rimini is Rimini. But then you go to some places and we change it a little. Anna, could you think of any examples that we've changed? Any more places?
Rome.
Absolutely. And I have a theory. I have a theory about Rome, because Rome in Italian, Roma, when English people hear this sound at the end, this a at the end, we often assume it's just an accent. It's not a real letter. It's just a way of speaking. So when people say Roma, we hear Rome. We hear Rome. We think it's the end of the M. So I think we changed Roma to Rome because we don't hear another. Oh, Johnny has a great one here. Yes, Venice. Honestly, yes. I was really confused the first time I went to Venice because I kept seeing signs for Venezia. I was like, Venezia? What's Venezia? Where are we going? And then I arrived. Like, oh shit! Oh my god! It's Venice. It's the same place. And I didn't realize. I had no idea. So it was crazy. It was very confusing for me. Anna, can you think of? Oh yes, you said another. What was the other one you said?
Florence.
Yeah, absolutely. So Firenze, we changed to Florence. It's all, I think, from the idea of flowers and floral and the lily that is the symbol of Florence. So I think Firenze and Fiorentina and Florence, they're all in the same area, but Florence is quite different from Firenze. In fact, Anna, let me tell you a short story, a similar chaotic story. I know some people who came to Florence, or they were coming to Florence for a holiday, and they missed the stop. They missed the train stop because they didn't realize that Firenze was Florence. So they missed it. They came to Firenze and they thought, oh, Firenze, that's an interesting name. And then they carried on. They thought, I'm sure this train stopped in Florence. But they didn't realize, they didn't know the real Italian name. So tourists, unbelievable. So anyway, okay, well, Gianni, thank you. It's a really interesting thing. One that always interests me, Anna, is the names of monuments. So, for example, we always we translate things like the Eiffel Tower. In Paris, we say the Eiffel Tower. We don't say the Tour Eiffel. We say the Eiffel Tower. But in Florence, we have the Ponte Vecchio, and we'd never translate that. We would never say the old bridge. We would always say, with an English accent, Ponte Vecchio or Ponte Vecchio.
Ponte Vecchio.
Sometimes we hear that, which is really weird, right? Sometimes we translate monuments and sometimes we don't. I have no idea why. I have no idea why. Oh, English. Oh, English. Okay.
Oh, English.
That's a stupid language. All right, wonderful. Okay, so Anna, are we ready to start?
I'm ready to rock and roll. Let's do it.
Fantastic. Okay, brilliant. All right, so today, guys, we're doing a vocabulary masterclass, which means we're going to look at lots and lots of specific pieces of vocabulary. And the theme for today is, Anna?
Personal values.
Wonderful. Okay, so please, our objectives, Anna.
Okay, in this activity, vocabulary to talk about values, hypothetical phrases, talking about motivations.
Ooh, very interesting. Okay, wonderful, guys. We're going to start by looking at some quotations. We're going to look at some quotations from Albert Einstein. So, Anna, would you kindly read these quotations, please?
Yes. There are only two ways to live your life. One is through nothing. Wait, sorry, it's a bit blurry. One is as though, the other is as though everything is a miracle.
Very nice. Okay. And shall I read the second?
Yes, please.
Okay. When you are courting a nice girl, an hour seems like a second. When you sit on a red-hot cinder, a second seems like an hour. That's relativity. Okay, all right. So we have some very interesting quotations from Albert Einstein here. Okay, so let's talk about them. Okay, so the first one, Anna, let's break this down. There are only two ways to live your life. Now, this is a very typical formulation in English. We often say, for example, there are only two kinds of people in the world: people who like Harry Potter and people who don't. Or there are two kinds of people in the world: people who eat, I don't know, who eat white truffles and people who eat black truffles. I don't know. We like to divide the world in two ways. But Einstein has a very interesting idea for these two types of people, these two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. Anna, what does it mean, this one is as though? What does this construction mean?
It means that something is like this because.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Yeah, I would agree. I think it means the same thing as one is like. One is like.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so one is as though, one is like, life is a miracle, like it's a miracle. The other is as though nothing is a miracle, so nothing or everything. This is very interesting. So Anna, what do you think? What's your opinion on this quotation?
This is tough because it's almost all or nothing, but I think it's actually a mix of both.
Okay.
Because some things I think are fate, are destiny, and some things I think you create yourself.
So you believe in an element of sort of destiny to things, is that right?
I mean, not loads, but I think a little bit, yes.
Okay. Okay, very interesting. And then on the other hand, you believe that a lot of things are just coincidences and random, is that right?
Yeah, and I think, and also I think you kind of are slightly in charge. So you have your destiny that, the universe delivers to you, but then you also have the destiny that you create for yourself, the decisions and the choices that you make.
Yes, and now this is a really interesting idea, isn't it? The idea that you forge your own destiny. This is a kind of an expression we often say. What does it mean to forge your own destiny? What does it mean to forge?
To forge is to create something.
Perfect. Yeah, I think it comes from blacksmiths. I think it comes from metalworking. A forge is the name of the location where people who work with metal, where they work. So there is a big furnace, and they have all of the tools, the hammer, the anvil, and so on. And they create metalwork, maybe swords or hinges or anything at all for metal. So we talk about the idea of forging your own destiny, which is to create your own destiny. So to actively participate in the creation of the life you want, not always just saying, "Oh, I'm unlucky," or "Oh, I have a bad, bad life. Destiny is against me." Here is another idiom. Maybe I was dealt a bad hand. I was dealt a bad hand. What does that mean, Anna? If someone says to you, "I was just dealt a bad hand in life,"
it means that you.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And if you say I was dealt a bad hand, it just means I'm naturally unlucky. I'm a naturally unlucky person, which is not true. Luck doesn't really exist. Of course, it's just a chance. It's just the random ideas. So you can't really be always unlucky innately. It's not inside you. It's just how life goes. There is no way to claim lucky or unlucky, really. So dealt a bad hand, it's a card playing idiom. So when you play poker, for example, to deal is when you give cards in a card game. So to be dealt, the passive, to be dealt a hand is to be given your cards when you play a game. So in poker, for example, you are dealt 5 cards. So if someone says, "I was dealt a bad hand," it means I'm just unlucky. That's the way it is. There's nothing I can do about it. I have no control. But this isn't strictly true. Now, Johnny has something lovely to say here. Please, Anna.
I consider my whole life as a miracle, and I try to accept everything that occurs. Ooh, that's nice.
I like that. I think acceptance is a really, really important thing, Johnny. And in fact, we may return to the idea of acceptance later in this lesson. So I think that's a really interesting idea. Accepting the way that life is, accepting that it's just random, it's just chance, and there's no way you can really control it. So I like that. I think that's really interesting. It's a very positive, healthy mental attitude, Johnny. Now, Anna, in your opinion, why do you think Einstein says there are only these two ways? Because you said you think a little bit of both, but why do you think he says, no, there are only two ways? In one way, everything is a miracle, and on the other hand, nothing is a miracle. Why do you think he says only one or the other?
I'm not 100% sure. Maybe because he was kind of like a scientist and a philosopher. Maybe it's something to do with scientific reasoning. I'm not 100% sure on that.
No, it's I'm not too sure either. I think you're right. I certainly think because he was a philosopher, probably he is interested in the more abstract concepts of life as well. He was a very human scientist, obviously very intelligent and very scientific, but also had a very strong kind of human element to him. I think was a very he was a man very interested in humanity and society, politics and philosophy, as well as science. So yeah, maybe he's suggesting that if you think that any part of life is a miracle, is blessed and destiny and fate and controlled, then there is no reason every other part isn't also controlled by those forces. So maybe it's a question of you can't pick and choose. Either you believe in destiny and therefore you have no control and you are completely under the control of fate, or maybe you have absolutely no belief in destiny, but there can be no half and half. I don't know. What do you think, Anna?
Yeah, I think, he's kind of saying it's all of one thing or all of the other, but I think it's, I don't think it's possible. Yeah. For me anyway, I think it's too, I feel like it's either you're lucky or you're unlucky.
Okay.
And I feel like normally life, you have like a good mix of both, hopefully. Hopefully more luck than unlucky.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I think that's a very interesting attitude. Okay, all right. Well, we have Padua in MyES joining us. Hi, Sally from Padua. Hi. Welcome. And Sally knows Johnny. And in fact, I think I know Johnny. I've met Johnny. So
yes.
Now we have some.
I think I've had to.
Now, Johnny is a student in the Padua school. So I wonder if Anna, I don't know if you will have met him, but I believe I met him at a very nice drinks once.
I think he was in my masterclass yesterday with Neve.
Oh, amazing. Oh, wonderful. Oh, so you're old friends. Friends. Fantastic. All right. Okay, so let's talk about this second quotation. Okay, Anna, what's relativity? I know this is a bit of a tricky question. I don't want to put you on the spot.
I'll give it my best shot.
Go on then. I'm ready.
Relativity, I would think, is like things that are relative to each other, that are similar to each other, things that correspond to each other, and things also potentially that are realistic.
Oh, that's a great answer, Anna. That's a great answer. Yeah, you're exactly the right line. And today is not a science lesson, guys. So don't worry. I'm not going to give you too much science here, but yeah, relativity is essentially the idea that there is no way, there is absolutely no way to determine whether you are moving or whether you are staying still. That is essentially one of Einstein's most important theories. So his theory of general relativity was the thought that when you get up, when you stand up from your chair and you walk to the other side of the room and you then walk back to the chair, there is no proof that you are not staying still and the room is moving around you. And then you say, okay, well, I know the room's not moving around me because when I look out of the window, the world is staying still and I am the only thing moving. So I know my house is not moving because otherwise it would hit the houses around it. And then Einstein says, okay, but how do you know the whole world isn't moving around you? So when you stand up, how do you know the whole world isn't moving around you and you are staying still? Well, then you say, well, the sun isn't moving, so the sun is my point of reference. But how do you know the sun isn't moving? So this is his idea. This is the general theme that you never know if you're moving or staying still. And it's all linked with time and how we measure time and how there is no reference point, because every reference point relies on another reference point and another reference point and another, and it goes on forever. So he was a clever man, and that's as much as I understand of it. I cannot pretend to know any more. So there you go. So that's relativity. So this quotation, let's read it one more time for the benefit of those who joined us a little later. When you are courting a nice girl, an hour seems like a second. When you sit on a red-hot cinder for a second, when you sit on a red-hot cinder, a second seems like an hour. And that's relativity. So this is the way that he would explain this incredibly complicated scientific concept, which is that time doesn't move in a constant way. And I think probably we can all agree. I can certainly think of times when I'm sure time moved more slowly or more quickly depending on the situation I was in. Anna, would you agree?
For sure, definitely. I mean, like, time flies when you're having fun, for sure.
Oh, this is a great expression. Yes. So can you think of a specific situation when you distinctly remember, oh my God, I can't believe how quickly that went, or oh my God, I can't believe how slowly this is going? Oh, Anna's frozen on us, guys. Oh no, she'll be back. So she said this wonderful expression, time flies when you're having fun. So this is really, I think, quite typical. Often we notice that when we are occupied, when we're really busy, when we're enthusiastic, and when we're having fun, often time moves really, really quickly. So I'm sure that if I'm having a really busy day at work, if I've got lots of lessons to teach and I'm speaking a lot with my colleagues and I have a really nice lunch and then I'm going out in the evening and with my friends, then I feel the day went so quickly. But last year, I was in hospital with, I had appendicitis and I was in hospital for 4 days and they were the longest, most boring 4 days of my life. Oh, they were so boring because I was in a lot of pain and I had one book. So all I could do was read my book very, very slowly. And I would read some of my book and I would have my breakfast and I would call my friend and I would play some games on my phone and I would look at the clock and it was 9 o'clock in the morning. I thought, oh my God, this day is the longest day in the world. So I definitely know this feeling of a long time and a short time. All right, welcome back, Anna, welcome back. We have a very nice comment here from Anna Maria. Anna, would you read, please?
Hello, Kate and Anna. I'm following you. Oh,
Thank you so much.
You're fantastic too.
That's very sweet. You certainly are, Anna Maria. Tell us where you are, Anna Maria. Are you in Florence with us, or are you in another part of the world? We also have David Hetherington joining us. I believe this comment is based on my probably very, very bad explanation of general relativity. Anna, what does this expression that David's used, what does it mean?
Oh, wrinkled my brain. I would think that it's made him think a lot. So maybe it's his brain is wrinkled because it's fried or frazzled.
Yeah, I think that's a great.
Maybe.
That's a great one. You've wrinkled, you've fried, you've frazzled. That's a great expression. My brain, yeah, it's very, very similar to you've blown my mind. You've blown my mind, which is generally expressions of like, oh, there we go. He's quicker than me. There we are. You blew my mind, says David. So this is an expression to indicate that you are a little bit overwhelmed by the information because it was probably very surprising and probably quite interesting, I hope. So you blew my mind, you fried my brain. These are similar ideas. Excellent. Okay. Now, Anna Maria, you're in Milan. Oh, wonderful. Welcome from Milan. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. And okay. So when you go to the psychologist, yes, they sometimes fry your brain. They wrinkle your brain a little. And oh, yes, absolutely. Anna, please.
Ooh. Psychologist, you shrink your mind.
Yes, so this is a great bit of vocabulary. So, Anna, have you heard of this? That sometimes you hear people refer to a psychologist as a shrink. Have you heard that?
Yes, I have heard this.
And it's because of this idea that they shrink your brain. It's quite a negative idea of psychology. It's not one I necessarily think is true. It's quite a dismissive idea of mental health, but it's a really interesting expression. And it's very, very typical. You often can hear people say, oh, I spoke with my shrink the other day, or, oh, yeah, I have a really good shrink, or you need to see a shrink, man. So these are all ways to talk about a psychologist. If you need help, or you are having help with your mental health, which everyone should have. Everyone needs help with their mental health, especially during this quarantine period. Excellent. Okay, so Anna, any final comments about Einstein or about these quotations? Any other vocabulary that you want to pick up on, or any other thoughts?
No, not necessarily. I now know what relativity means, so that's great.
I wouldn't go that far, Anna. That's very generous of you, but I really wouldn't go that far. I'm sure one of our colleagues here in Florence, her name is Neve, and she is a physicist. Her background is that she has a master's in physics. So if she were here, forgive me, I'm sure she would be correcting me a lot in the chat. Well, I think you'll find actually it's this. So probably it's very wrong. So please don't attack me if I was really wrong. Okay, Anna, could you read these words for me, please?
Okay. Definitions: intention, freedom.
Ooh, okay. So, guys, we're talking today about personal values. So, Anna, how would you explain the concept of integrity? What does integrity mean?
I think integrity means someone that's got a very positive and outgoing attitude, someone that's maybe slightly brave. They're not afraid to kind of stick it to the man.
Ooh, I like that expression.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree with you. In fact, I would maybe even reduce it a little more and say that integrity is when you are true to yourself. So if you have integrity, then you don't compromise. You don't, maybe as you say, you don't compromise your values for the values of society or for another person or anything like this. So if you have integrity, then you are true to yourself in general. Okay, what about compassion? How would you explain compassion?
Compassion is when you feel for others.
Yes.
When you feel for others, but in a nice way.
No, definitely.
Loving.
Definitely, yeah. I also think that, so compassion, I think, it's often considered to be quite a biblical thing. Jesus was supposed to be the most compassionate individual, because compassion essentially is that you have a love for all living things. So if you are a compassionate person, then as you say, Anna, I think you have a lot of empathy and you feel for the world. So you hate to see cruelty, you hate to see animals in distress, probably you don't eat them, you hate to see humans in pain, this kind of thing. Oh, Gianni has a beautiful explanation of integrity here. Anna, would you read, please?
That's amazing. When your behavior is always in line with your moral values.
Oh, this is very, very good, Gianni. And actually, I think you introduced even better than me this particular quality. That integrity is maybe when if you believe you have a value and then you act in the same way. But if I tell everyone that I am a generous person, for example, but then I do not behave in a generous way because there is pressure from another person, well, I'm not being, I don't have integrity. I'm not being true to my values. That's really, really good, Gianni. Really, really good. And as David says, Gianni, you're our hero. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Really, really great work. And finally, Anna, how would you define freedom?
Freedom is being free in every sense of the word. It's the opposite to quarantine.
Yes. Yes, indeed, it is. It's certainly the opposite of being kind of locked away. Freedom is quite a vast concept. Certainly, it's to do with your behavior and to do with physical freedom. So you can walk around and you can go outside and you can, buy what you want and see who you want to see. But there's also the general sense, I think, of moral freedom or freedom to be who you want to be. So freedom to marry who you want to marry, freedom to practice the religion you wish to practice, that kind of thing, to vote, freedom to vote, and so on. So there's a lot of more sort of abstract concepts of freedom, which are hugely important too. So a very big concept. Okay, Anna, so let's read some definitions. So would you kindly read our definitions of each of these words, please?
Of course. Integrity. Firm adherence to a code of especially moral or artistic values. Compassion. Sympathetic consciousness of others' distress, together with a desire to alleviate it. Freedom. One, the equality, or state of being free. Two, a political right.
Yeah, very good. Oh, so really, really good definitions we've got here, guys. Now that's interesting. Integrity bringing in the idea of artistic values. Anna, are you familiar with the idea of integrity in the realm of art and music, that kind of thing?
I think so. It's kind of if someone has made, if someone wants to present themselves in a certain way within the artistic scene, then they kind of go for it and they don't look back. They don't listen to anyone else's opinions or ideas. They just full steam ahead.
Yeah, that's great. No, I agree with you. Yeah, again, like being true to yourself, and also being true to your vision. So if you have an idea of what you want to create, and then the mainstream media or other people in your field tell you, oh no, you should do more like this. Your idea is strange. Your idea is weird. Don't do that. Do what we're doing. We're much better. then if you remain true to your vision, then you have integrity. So unfortunately, a lot of particularly musicians are accused of a lack of integrity. They are accused of being sellouts. What's a sellout, Anna?
A sellout is someone that has a vision but listens to someone else's opinion instead and does that because they are worried about people not liking their original vision.
Excellent. Yeah, and they kind of cave into pressure from other people, right? So other people, they put pressure on them and they tell them to do things differently, and they do. So yeah, so if you're a sellout, then you lack integrity because you cave in to pressure. So you capitulate to pressure from other people. You do not remain true to yourself. And that, I think, is a very typical thing. As I say, like musicians, often if a band is not very famous, maybe they have like one album and they have a very strong, small base of fans, and then later they become more and more famous and they have more and more pressure from the industry, and maybe they change the type of music they make, they go in a different direction, and then their original fans say, oh, they're such sellouts, they sold out, they lack integrity because they moved away from the original vision they had. Often this is a bit hard. Often I think people can be a little too strong, and it's a bit unfair. But sometimes it's true. I'm sure sometimes people do really sell out and they lack integrity. Now, Jani has a lovely definition here of freedom. Anna, please.
The state to be free or a political right.
And he follows it with, ooh.
Freedom is my goal.
Freedom is my goal. I love this. Jani, when you write a biography, this should be the title, Freedom is my goal. I like that. I would buy your book. I would buy it. And Anna Maria has a lovely definition here. Please, Anna.
The respect of others' boundary too.
Now, I'm not sure exactly which word you meant, Anna, but I really like this definition. To respect your boundaries as well as other people's boundaries is very, very interesting. I like this concept, yeah. We often forget this, but I think it's really, really important. So that's really wonderful. Okay, wonderful. All right, excellent, guys. Really, really nice work. Okay, so let's move on. And we're going to look at a specific individual here. Anna, would you read this title, please?
Put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Now, what does this mean? If I gave you the instruction, oh, Anna, put yourself in my shoes. Or listen, Anna, you need to put yourself in your brother's shoes. What does this mean?
It means to imagine yourself in someone else's being, someone else's state.
Absolutely. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So, Anna, please.
Read about Malala's fight for female education in Pakistan. If we all continue to support Malala's cause, she will be even more successful.
Very nice. Now, Anna, what do you know about Malala? Do you know this name? Are you familiar with her story?
Yes, I'm familiar-ish with the story. I believe she was a Pakistani schoolgirl who had an attempted assassination from I believe, but she survived amazingly, and now I believe she lives in England and is like education for women.
She is, yeah, she's a human rights activist. There was an amazing photograph I saw of her a few months ago now of Malala with Greta Thunberg, and of these two amazing, the human rights activist and the climate activist. And they met, I think, in Oxford. I believe she's studying, either studying or working at either Oxford or Cambridge. I really should know which one, but she lives and works in the UK now. So it was a wonderful meeting of these two amazing figures.
Wow.
Okay, so we're going to read a little bit about Malala's story. We're going to read a short text, which is going to give us a little bit more information about this amazing figure. Okay, Anna, shall we take it in turns to read a little about Malala?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. Would you like, oh, thank you, Sally in Padua. She's clarified. Malala is in Oxford now. Thank you. That's fantastic. That's great. Thank you. Okay, Anna, would you like to start? Is it clear enough for you?
Yes, I might have to get a little bit up close and personal, but
that's all right.
Malala Yousafzai was born in the Swat Valley of Pakistan in 1997. The daughter of an educator, she developed a fierce passion for learning. In 2009, however, the Taliban gained power in the Swat Valley and imposed harsh rules based on their interpretation of Islam.
Okay, let's stop there then, and let's talk about this vocabulary so far. Okay, a fierce passion. Now, fierce in my mind, Anna, fierce is like aggressive. So what does it mean in this case? Does it mean aggressive?
It just means like really, really, really strong passion.
Okay, yes. And I think we can use it in this context for lots of different things. If you describe a person as fierce, in the past, always it meant they were aggressive, maybe violent. Now, due to a number of different cultural impacts, including the drag world, the very strong impact that drag culture, so drag queens and drag kings, are having on culture at the moment, the word fierce now means much closer to something like strong, not so much aggressive, just in general really, really strong. So a fierce passion is a strong passion. And in this case, Anna, what does harsh mean? They imposed harsh rule. What does harsh mean?
Harsh means that it's not lenient. It's unfair.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I think harsh can sometimes suggest that it's definitely not a fair rule anymore. It's not balanced. It's not just. It's very rigid and it's very unfair. Yeah, fantastic. All right, excellent. Okay, Anna, shall I read a little further?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Among other changes, they started restricting girls' education. Malala began secretly blogging about concerns that her school would be attacked, continuing even after her identity was revealed. In 2011, Malala won Pakistan's first National Youth Peace Prize and began to advocate for girls' education on a national scale. Oh, now this is amazing. I am a very, very lucky woman. I have never lived in a country where civil liberties have been restricted in any way at all. Certainly nothing like the kind of experience that they have in countries like Pakistan. So to live in a culture like that is certainly nothing I've ever had to think about and had to worry about. And under these circumstances, people like Malala decide to resist and speak out and to try to affect a change on her culture, a culture which doesn't listen to most people, especially women. So to do this as a young girl, as a child, really, I think is really impressive. So Anna, what does it mean to advocate for something?
To advocate, I think it means to believe in and to kind of try and get other people involved in a certain cause.
Yeah, that's a really nice way of putting it. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's probably that kind of balance between something. So not only do you believe in it, but you actually fight for it. So you don't just talk about it. You act in some way. You go and speak with people. You create material to read. You protest. Lots of other things, perhaps as well. Fantastic. Okay, Anna, would you continue reading from in October?
Yeah. In October of the following year, a masked man from the Taliban entered Malala's school bus and shot her and two other female students. Malala was taken to hospital in England, where she stayed for months to recover. Should I carry on?
So, I mean, this is extraordinary, right? Luckily, I've been in very few dangerous situations in my life, and certainly not one that involved guns and shooting. I don't know if it's the same for you, Anna, but I can't really imagine. Yeah.
So,
Okay, so she was immediately, I believe, taken to England at that moment, and she was brought to the UK in order to be ministered to. She was, I think, already by this time starting to gain quite a lot of recognition, not only in Pakistan but also internationally, precisely because of the prize that she had won and the work that she was doing. So, the attack did not stop Malala's activism. Rather, it boosted support for her mission. In 2013, she and her father co-founded the Malala Fund to work toward all girls attending school and receiving a high-quality education. Wow, amazing. So, Anna, boosted, to boost support or to boost things in general, what does it mean?
it means to make bigger.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Or maybe even more powerful, kind of more known. It's just bigger as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe we could say in general to give energy to something, to add a certain amount of energy, whether it's motivation or interest or respect or anything at all. So to say that it boosted support means that her attack created even more awareness of and support of her mission to educate girls in Pakistan. Okay, Anna, would you read from in 2014, please?
In 2014, Malala shared the Global Peace Prize with another human rights activist. In her acceptance speech, she said, in this 21st century, we must be able to give every child we must be able to give every child quality education, not just the politicians and the world leaders contribute. Me, you, we, it is our duty.
Amazing. Okay, and I'll finish. Malala has inspired activists across the globe to work towards a more just and peaceful world. How will you join her? Amazing. Okay, so what an amazing story. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, her work does a tremendous amount of good. At the moment, globally, more than 2/3 of children are in school all over the world. So there is there has been an enormous amount of improvement in terms of the access that children have to primary education, both girls and boys. So it is really quite extraordinary that people like Malala are, fighting for these things. So we're speaking about personal values. So let's return to our original discussion about Malala. So, Anna, could you read these two conditionals for me, please?
Yes. If I were Malala, I would speak to the government. If Malala hadn't started her work, we wouldn't have been inspired to help her cause.
So we've got some good conditionals here. We've got some nice futures. We've got some nice hypotheticals, that kind of thing. We've certainly got some nice second conditionals here, followed even by a third conditional at the end. Anna, let's have a go at creating our own little conditionals about this concept of maybe even just people who fight for rights. So I could say, for example, that if we didn't have people like Malala, if there weren't people like her fighting around the world for human rights, then the world would be a much worse place. And Anna, can you give us an example of a similar kind of conditional?
If I have voted in the general election, I would be damaging the reputation and the history of the women's suffragettes.
Oh, Anna, this is a great one. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Yeah. No, by voting, for example, we are honoring the fact that people like the suffragettes, people like Malala fought for the rights of groups who didn't have them. So in the case of the suffragettes, fighting for the rights of women to vote. Malala's case, fighting for the right for women and children to be educated. No, that's fantastic, Anna. No, it's really important. And we all must continue to support and exercise our rights and edge our way closer towards freedom, to remain with our integrity intact, and to have compassion wherever possible. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me today on our little journey into personal values. It was so nice to have you with us. Do remember that these webinars are continuing all through today, tomorrow, and certainly into next week. So do stay tuned and continue to join us for these lessons. Before we finish, we have some wonderful examples coming through. Anna, would you kindly read David's example for us, please?
If people in the past hadn't fought for human rights, people today may not have the confidence to do the same.
Very, very true. Absolutely. And a lovely also, another one from Anna Maria, please, Anna.
If I had been Malala, I wouldn't have her courage to advocate for human rights.
Amazing, Anna. Really, really lovely. Now, I think I agree with you. Anna. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Anna, Johnny. Thank you, Sally. Thank you, David. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you to you, Anna, for being my co-host today, my co-teacher. And guys, have a wonderful Thursday afternoon and evening. And we'll see you again soon, I hope. Bye, guys. See you again soon. See you soon. Bye.